Hey guys, it's Holly. So today I'm going back to my roots and I'm doing a review / comparison on a Lego Ninjago Legacy set. Who thought that this day was ever going to come? Certainly not me. So this is the Epic Battle set, which is Jay versus the Serpentine, and honestly, it really grabbed my attention. At first, I didn't really want this set, but then I kind of looked at it and I thought, I've still got my original J spinner from 2011, so I thought it would be really fun to do a comparison between that and the newer spinner style, where they're supposed to be battling on this like brick-built spinner rather than a specialized spinner piece. So here are the two sets side by side. So on the left we have the original spinner set, or technically this is more of the spinner starter set, which was released in 2011 for $20 US. And then on the right we do have the newer Epic Battle set, which retail for $10 US, and both of them contain two minifigures and are depicting some sort of battle. Now it's interesting to note with the originals you did also get this little arena theme, which was built out of a bunch of Technic pieces, which we'll have a closer look at later, as well as a bunch of playing cards, whereas the newer one is definitely more of a standard Lego set with a little build and a brick built spinner, which is the main thing I wanted to kind of compare and see how much has changed over the last 10 years. So before we take a look at the actual set, I want to have a look at the minifigures side by side. So here is Jay. Each of them come with a different weapon. Of course, the one on the left has one of his classic original golden weapons, which is this golden spear, and then the newer Jay has this golden dragon handled set of nunchucks, with the rest of it being this electric colored lime green piece where it does have the other hand of the dragon handle. To me, it doesn't really look like nunchucks, but I get what Lego was going for here. So Jay, the blue ninja of lightning, has undergone a lot of changes over the years. Originally, the one from 2011, when you took his mask off, and on the show he did have short ginger hair, whereas since the Lego movie and probably a season earlier, Jay has had this really nice dark brown messy curly hair, which I think looks amazing. He's also got a lot more detailing on his face. Firstly, he's got some brown eyebrows, and now he also has freckles. Another important difference is he's lost his little eyebrow slit that he used to have, and he now has this really happy face, which has been in circulation since the Lego Ninjago movie as well. You can also see there is a major difference in his outfit. So between 2011 and 2012, which this specific Ninjago Legacy J is based on, there weren't too many changes. They did upgrade the mask and they did upgrade the printing, but he overall did have the same classic blue ninja outfit with a spot to hold your weapon on. However, this J in this set comes with this robe, which is kind of like a tank top. You also get a rope belt, and honestly the printing looks really nice. I love what they've done. You can still see he's a ninja, probably not as protective of gear though. Turning him around, you can see that the newer version of Jay also has an alternate face, which is meant to look quite angry, which looks really good, and I'm glad they've started to do that with the Ninjago figures over the last few years, because when you look back at the original, it's just not the same. While I think the newer Jay has made a lot of significant improvements, it's technically not accurate to the actual Legacy Jay. However, you can't deny that the one from 2011 as well does have a certain charm to it, kind of like the classic spaceman, and part of me is not surprised though that they don't actually include this figure, because looking back it's quite basic compared to the ones that they actually do make. Next up for our villains, we have Fracture from the original series pilot season, and we do have one of the Serpentine figures from the Rise of the Snakes. Now, Fracture was supposed to have a sensei hat, just like Sensei Wu. However, in these cheap battle sets, they didn't include it with him, and you could only get it in some of the more expensive sets. The rest of him did come in the set though. You do get his armor, his really nice face print, and the red version of the cloth down at the bottom. Meanwhile, Serpentine, I don't believe has come in any other Ninjago sets. Then again, I am not really one to talk, as I haven't really kept up with Ninjago since probably about 2013. I've seen bits and pieces here and there though. Both of these figures look really good. Of course, with the original, it was more of a skeleton, which I really liked the skeleton design. I loved the characters in that season. I think it was really awesome. The snakes, admittedly, I kind of did go off a bit, but looking at this figure, it has a really nice design, and I love how they've started to do leg printing as well for Ninjago. It's so good to see Lego really putting in a lot of time and effort into a theme that they've made. Now, in the original 2011 starter starter pack, you did get this Technic built arena, and admittedly I have lost this red piece here, so I've just swapped it out with a reddish brown one just to show you guys kind of how it was made, and it's very easy to piece together, and honestly it works. If you take your spinner and you then take your ninja and you kind of spin him around doing the classic twist function, he's gonna spin. The arena will move, but it does a pretty good job of kind of knocking them back into place so that these figures can battle. Now, actually taking a look at the spinner here, this is one of the original Ninjago spinners, and to make it spin you do have one of those kind of round underneath bumper type of plates, and through a lot of years of spinning and kind of playing, you can see that it has been scratched up, and that's all just from regular play wear. I'm honestly not surprised, and as you can see, that piece then just slots into here, and the bottom of the spinner is also kind of been bunged up a bit. You can see that there are also 3 screws, which is keeping this entire base together, which is 2 separate parts, as there is a tiny bit of mechanics in here. Now, printed on the top you do have an arrow, and an arrow on this little part here where the minifigure sits down, and that is so that you can line it up to make sure that your figure gets in there correctly. Also, as this is Jay's spinner, you do have a bunch of little lightning clouds all printed around it, which look really cool, and there were similar prints for the rest of the ninja. So from here you just slide Jay's legs in and he is ready to go. You just stick on his weapon and you kind of point it to the outside, and from there you would be able to have a battle with someone else. From here, specifically with this starter set, because you get 2 spinners and kind of this arena, it makes it really easy for them to battle, whereas the cheaper $10 ones, you would only get 1 character and 1 spinner, so you really wouldn't have anyone to fight with. And then from here, you would of course spin the spinners, and then both the characters can battle, and this is why the whole arena was put in place. It kind of directs them towards each other, which honestly is very hard to do with just one person. But as you can see, the arena does move around a bit as they try and battle and kind of bash around the outside. I mean, it serves its purpose, but it's definitely not the best built thing for it. To kind of show you this whole spinner idea, I've stuck the newer Jay in and given him a weapon that's roughly the same size as the other Jay's spear, just to kind of give you an idea to how this would actually work and see if they can fight each other, sort of like that. They don't really fling off as easily as intended, which I guess is a good thing. You're not really going to use your minifigure, but at the same time, you're not really going to have a proper battle. Speaking of battle, a lot of this set's concept comes from the playing cards you get. Now, because you do get Fracture and Jay in this starter set, you do get both of their starter cards, which show you a range of powers. So for example, Jay has 3 fire, 4 electric, 0 earth, and 3 ice. Whereas Fracture has 4 fire, 3 electric, 3 earth, and 0 snow. And this is kind of like a Pokemon card battle type of thing. And then you would get these other cards along with it so that you could fight someone and kind of battle. And each thing would give you a different amount of power. It would also use a different amount of whatever this thing is. Honestly, I've forgotten how to play this game. But basically, this Flame Pit one, for example, it says lay down the card, opponent loses if spinner touches it, then remove. So you would put it down, and if your spinner went over it, they would lose that round. Off balance, opponent stands character on 1 leg until a player wins. So what you would do is you would lift your minifigure up, raise one of their legs, and see who can win the battle now type of thing. It's very interactive with the Lego, which I honestly really appreciated. Give up a skeleton arm to avoid losing. In an instance where both characters fall, you could play up for grabs and then you could win. And then you have regular Jay's card, and that is it for Fractures. Jay's cards include a force field, so you can build above the spinner until a player wins and then remove. Now in this diagram, that refers to these little stands you would get to hold up your cards and kind of show which one you are playing, and then from there, these pieces would then attach to the sides of the spinner like that. Just like the skeleton arm, you could trade off the Ninja's mask this time to avoid losing. You also have the smoke screen, which says your opponent has to spin with their eyes closed until a player wins. And then lastly, you have the throwing star, which you physically have to throw this card and try and knock an opponent off. And honestly, looking back, I loved these cards. It brought such immersion and a lot of fun to Ninjago and these spinner battles, which I feel like has been absent since they got rid of them. Not to mention the art style on the cards is really nice, and I'm so so glad that I still have these 10 years later to this day, because these are honestly gorgeous, and the fact that you only really get to see it on the packaging now is really unfortunate. I know a lot of people really enjoyed these, and I remember playing with these as a kid, and it was a lot of fun, and it made up a lot of this game. Now, the last element to this set is the range of weapons you get. So each of the characters does come with 3. So Jay's weapons in this instance are this golden spear, this silver samurai sword, and this brown stick, and then Fracjaw's include his classic gold mallet type of thing on a chain. You do get a skeleton bone, and lastly you get this skeleton sword, which was shown quite a lot throughout Ninjago. And that is pretty much it for the starter set, and I think for $20 lots of the value just comes from the playing cards and the spinner. This was quite a pricey piece of product back in the day because of its brand new mold and kind of how heavy and weighted it is, and for the most part you could pretty much put every single character on it besides Samukai back then, which funnily enough I made an entire video when I was younger about why Samukai couldn't be a spinner, and a lot of it was to do with the weight of him, because it is quite a heavy thing. You do need to have a character that's quite centered, otherwise this entire spinning feature just isn't going to work. And out of all of the spinning features I've seen, honestly I think this one works the best even to this day. I mean, I guess they've changed it quite a bit, but I know there was the things like with the dice last year in the Skull Sorcerers series, which was meant to be a board game, but I don't think any of them quite spin the same as these original ones did. And I know there's also comes from a place of nostalgia, but I just think they served their purpose. They looked really good, and it really demonstrates the whole idea of spinjitzu. Things have changed a lot. Firstly, you get every single weapon. You get Cole's scythe, you get Jay's nunchucks, you get Kai's fire sword, and you get the shurikens of ice as well, which honestly doesn't really make a lot of sense. In each of the battle packs you do get a different color scheme, and I honestly feel like it's part of like that web shooter thing where they just in default put all of them in there, and that's why we have them. You also get duplicates of everything, so like I've got 4 shurikens, and it's a lot of stuff, and like it looks pretty cool and serves its purpose, but honestly I miss the good old days of the golden weapons personally, or even like their individual character swords from the Skybound season. Like that was a lot of fun. But looking at it today, like these little battle sets are a lot simpler. Like I get that there was less items, I guess, in the original ones because all you really had was the spinner and the cards and your characters and a few weapons. Whereas this one you do get a tiny build, which is meant to represent the snake season, and I love the little sticks of bamboo here. It's very simple, very easy. You also, I guess, do have space to kind of stick your minifigure down on a jumper plate, and then there's also this little side build with some more bamboo, which I guess as you spin you can kind of knock the bamboo over and cause a bit of destruction. But unfortunately in this set you only get one of these spinner things, which the first part has this brand new grey piece that I haven't really seen before, and you attach it to this black one here which has a tire on the end, which then sticks into one of these Technic things, and you kind of have a little handle that you can roll around on the floor, and that's how your character spins. So if I stick Jay onto it like that, he then can roll across the ground and spin around like so. Personally, I wish they put 2 jumper plates on this so that Jay could stand in the middle because he's kind of off center. In saying that though, I did see someone stick Grogu and just a regular Lego baby side by side to these to make it look like they were dancing, which was honestly quite hilarious. And I like the idea of this. It works very well. It's very simplistic. It's a lot more simple than the original spinners were. It's also a bit more streamlined, I'd say, and it's easier to kind of like push and fight people. I guess though you only get one in the set, so you can't really battle. You can just spin Jay in and knock someone over. It doesn't really have that fight with your friends kind of battle type of thing that I think the original ones did. Now keep in mind as well, these spinners were released at the same time roughly that Beyblade was really taking off, and everyone was letting these spinners loose and fighting with each other, which I honestly think is why this whole concept started to be. It was kind of Lego's response to that whole wave. Whereas these days Ninjago's grown into so much more than that. It has a TV show, it has a story, it has such a dedicated fan base, so they don't really feel the need to do it. However, I personally wouldn't call this set an epic battle. It's just one person fighting an enemy with some background things. Like it doesn't really show a fight or any sort of battle like the original Ninjago sets did, and while I think this is really cute and I love what they've done with the spinners, I wish you got another one just so that you could fight someone else and kind of spin them back and forth and battle like that with your friends friend or even with yourself. Just use both hands and fight back and forth, and it's really missing that element of battle that I think the original wave pretty much nailed on the head, honestly, first try. Yeah, there were some things wrong with that, but I guess Ninjago these days has kind of lost a sense of what that battle used to be like. Overall though, as a set, these newer ones work really well. I kind of just wish these little like rods were a bit longer so that you weren't so close to your spinning ninja. But for the low price point, you did get 2 figures, which is something the original ones didn't. You did just get 1 ninja, your figure, your playing cards and such. So those are the 2 sets. As you can see, a lot has changed over the last 10 years. Now keep in mind as well that the 2021 set is supposed to represent season 2 of Ninjago, not the original one with the skeletons. Even then though, the serpent theme did also have spinners, and it was really close to the original wave. You still had the cards, you still had the spinners, you did have an arena. They were just kind of pimped out a bit more and made a bit more exciting and less sort of basic ninja style. In all honesty, there are some things that I much prefer out of the original ones. For example, I love the playing cards. That was so much fun as a kid, and I really wanted to collect them all, even though it was kind of hard because that meant you had to purchase all of the different spinners. It would have been awesome to see some sort of like Pokemon type of thing where you could buy the cards and kind of expand and battle pack, or even Club Penguin card jitsu type of cards and do something like that. I would have loved to see that back in the day. Part of me also prefers the old spinners. I just found them so interesting, although I do really like this newer build. Out of the spinners that I've seen over the last few years, I definitely think this is one of the most interesting and probably the most practical. It looks really cool and works surprisingly well for what it is, which is really cool. I just don't really like the weapons, and I feel like the builds are kind of just there for the sake of being there to kind of bulk it up, which I get, and it sets a nice little scene, but I kind of wish it kind of related to the set a bit more. I personally would have loved to see 2 spinners so that you could battle with both people rather than just the ninja, kind of like you did back in 2011. Now, as much as there's a lot of stuff there has changed, fundamentally these sets still remain the same to this day, and it's really awesome to see a theme be able to do that over the course of 10 years and still switch it up and make it new and interesting. And I also love to see how the ninja have developed, and their enemies for that matter, over the last 10 years, especially with these legacy sets and kind of revisiting back. Although I do wish that they would kind of make it a bit more accurate and go back to these original ninja that they had rather than a slightly updated version and things like that. But that's all my thoughts on these 2. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel down below. And until next time, I'll see you later.